Okay, we're back. Hey
Hello.
guys.
How
Let me
you
get.
doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
I'm good. I'm happy. Look, as you age, I think sometimes what makes you happy, it's like your 20-year-old self would be like, what? Because, like, my son came over this morning at 7 o'clock and we cleaned out my storeroom. So I'm taking the steps toward getting a freezer.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, I mean, I was just like, happy because my son came and hauled all this junk away for me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
Oh, that stuff makes me happy too. Oh, Kim, you got to put your danglies
I was like,
on.
I have to have my earrings, y'all. This is
I
the earring of
Oh
the
love
my
them.
day.
gosh, those are cute. Oh, I love those. Those are
I just
daisies.
found them. They were on the table beside me.
Oh,
I'm like, I can't go on without earrings. I
no,
feel
you have to have
naked.
your earrings. You have to.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
so
So,
y'all, I have been just I've been cleaning this weekend. I've been organizing. I was telling you guys before we came on, just so everybody else can hear. I was listening back to our 2 keto study clubs for like the last 2 weeks. And I was just rewinding and slowing it down just so I could make sure. And I actually think I understand most of it. I was looking up
oh,
words,
good.
definitions are important. So, but yeah, so I think it's like mostly sunk in. And it's funny because a lot of times I don't really grasp the concept while we're doing it. And then I'll
Right.
go back and I'll hear things that I said and I'm like, oh my God, like they were understanding it and I was not understanding it. I'm really hard on myself though. So,
Well, me too.
We all have different learning styles, right?
yeah.
I'll
So,
be like, you just sound like an idiot. Like, if I go back and listen to myself, and I'm asking
Oh,
these questions, but I mean, I'm here to learn, so I want to
no,
learn.
Carrie, listen,
But
this will make you feel much better if that's what you think about when you listen to yourself back. Because every time I listen to us back, I'm always like, Carrie was clearly trying. She was clearly right there. She's clearly trying to tell me, and I was not grasping it. So you
oh,
don't
love
sound like an
it.
idiot at all. Hey, it's Nicole.
Yeah. Hey,
oh,
Nicole.
Nicole, hey,
You're
How are
here
you, Nicole?
early. Love it. So I know last week we were working on the lab section, and I said that I would get my labs done.
Yes.
And so Monday I went and got labs done. I sacrificed myself
For
because it
science.
took five five sticks and two people to
Ugh.
get all the blood that they needed out of me. Now the
Ooh.
fourth stick worked, but it didn't put out enough. And so they had to do a fifth stick to get the rest of what they needed. It
Oh.
was 7 tubes. And so I'm kind of wondering too, like if that affected some of the results, because I know that like the guy had the tourniquet on me really tight, and for a while he left it on kind of a long time while he had to go run and grab something, and then he kind of quickly came back and undid the tourniquet, and like I had like an hour later I still had marks from the tourniquet on
Ugh.
both one arm
Yikes.
more than the other. And then I know he's not supposed to do this, but while my vein was getting dry, he had me pumping my hand. And I know you're not supposed to do this. So I'm
I
kind of
mean, that
wondering.
doesn't, I don't think that hurts anything. The
I read a
pumping.
phlebotomy forum that said that that can affect some of the results if you do
Hmm.
that. I don't know if
I
it
don't
did
know.
that with me or not, but anyways, it was definitely, I am
The whole
still,
the leaving the tourniquet on for me.
Ugh.
You're definitely not
well,
supposed to do that.
but the weird thing is that the first chick did it fine, as far as I don't think she had the tourniquet on enough. And I told her, she did it very by the book and didn't fish around for my vein, even though I told her, you can fish. You're not going
Go
to touch it
fishing, girl. Go fishing.
if you don't fish. And I
No.
know they're told not to do that, but it's like, come on, you are not going to get my veins if you don't fish, because they run away from the needle. You have to chase them down.
Yeah.
And the second guy with the really tight tourniquet, he did fish. So
you have to sometimes. I mean, if you don't, I don't believe in just going, like this, but I'll go in, and then if I don't hit it, then I'll like try to feel, and I'll try to like move the vein into the line, and then I'll
yeah,
like reposition maybe once or twice, but like I'm
yeah.
like pulling back and going, instead of like just,
Yeah, with me, you
that's
kind of need to,
damaging.
feel around till you find it, maybe secure it, try to secure it,
Yeah,
and then poke, poke a little deeper, because I've been told my veins are deeper than they appear.
mine are
So
too.
the guy finally got, I mean, he
And
did
mine
3
don't
tries.
appear.
Mine really don't either. I mean, so anyway, so I've got a whole bunch of pages here. The only thing that didn't come back was immunoglobulin assay, which is not, I don't even think she covers that in this chapter, but I did get some kind of interesting results. So I'll share those when we come to the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I put a bookmark in it where we stopped actually.
Yeah. We left off at the triglyceride to HDL ratio.
Okay.
So yeah.
And
we
I was
covered
really going to get my labs, and I just didn't. I've been not very on top of things lately, let's say.
I'm terrible because my lab order was from over 3 months ago.
Oh,
and
okay. Well, I don't feel so bad then.
Yeah.
Just whenever you get around to it.
But you know what? For me, when it's like that much torture to get blood out of me, I'm like,
oh gosh, yeah.
Blood and a turnip? Are you a turnip?
I need to go to the clinic where I used to go with the naturopathic doctor used to be. I need to go and make an appointment there because I need to see their person who specializes in molds, which I have issues with. And she can order some other labs, and then their phlebotomist there can get my blood first try.
Really?
Yes. Very, very rarely does she need 2 tries. So I think I'm going to, do that. And I was kind of disappointed because my doctor didn't order a CRP, which I thought he was going to. Yeah. And he didn't order a vitamin D level, which I thought he was going to, but he did order the fractionated. I don't know if it was the exact fractionated LDL test, but it was along the lines of that. So I have those results, and he ordered, your standard CBC, CMP, vitamin 12 and folate, the whole thyroid panel, hemoglobin A1C. I got my tryptase. I got an updated tryptase level, which you guys would never get, but for me with my condition, that's important.
I've had that.
Anyway, you've had tryptase?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, mine's usually in the 20s because of the hereditary alpha tryptosemia that I have. And I was really curious to see, like last time I got checked, I was on the carnivore diet, but it didn't do anything. And this time it's at 15. So it's still high.
What last time? 20?
Last time it was 22.4. And now it's 15.7. So the reference range is 2.2 to 13.2. Mm-hmm. So it's getting close to the normal reference, which is amazing, which means my mast cells are more stable.
Well, that's awesome. Good.
Yeah. So, all righty. So we are on triglyceride to HDL ratio in the book, and I know she quotes Dr. Robert Lustig, who says the triglyceride to HDL ratio is the best biomarker of cardiovascular disease and the best surrogate marker of insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome. But she said perplexingly that triglyceride to HDL ratio is not a metric used in standard clinical practice. So she said the optimal range is anything above a ratio of 3. So strongly suggestive. So anything above a ratio of 3 is strongly suggestive of insulin resistance. You want to shoot for less than 1.5. although lower is better, I recommend aiming for less than 1. Do you guys know yours?
Yeah, mine's like less than 1.
Yours is less than 1. And wasn't yours too, Carrie? Didn't we talk
Yeah,
about this?
mine's right at 1.
I think
I
it's less
think
than
my
1.
I think my
I have to look it up.
HDL is like 77, and my LDL, I'm sorry, and my HDL is like 77, and my triglycerides are like 78 or something. It's just right at a 1-to-1 ratio.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you take your triglycerides and divide
Divide by your HDL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you divide your HDL into your triglycerides,
Your
right?
triglyceride.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I calculated it before. I'm pretty sure it was below 1. I'm gonna have to look now. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I think yours was like really
Yours was
awesome.
good.
If I remember correctly, we were talking about it last time, and yours was like 0.5 or something. It was like really good.
That's what I was thinking.
And I've never been able to get mine, like, I mean, like, even at my strictest, it's the craziest thing. Like, I've never had mine, like, I've had mine less than 1, but I've never had it, like, some people are like 0.45 or something. I'm like, how do you know, that's awesome.
Well, you know what's funny?
I've never been able to get mine like that.
You know what's funny is when I first started getting my blood tests, my triglycerides and cholesterol and everything tested, it was when I was about 23 years old, and I was a new nurse, and I had a job where they allowed you to do that there every year, right? So I would just go every year and get it done. I didn't know anything about it at all. And they would say, "Oh, your cholesterol's high." And the doctor would tell me, yeah, this is familial. You have familial hypercholesterolemia. And I don't think that's true at all, because if you have true problems with that, usually your HDL will not get that high.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I've heard too.
And I think it was just the crappy food I was eating, and, a doctor who didn't know what they were talking about. So
yeah, it's amazing how many doctors aren't up to speed on the real, like, really how to interpret the cholesterol levels. But so before the carnivore diet, my triglyceride to HDL ratio was over 3. And then, so last year in September, it went down to 2.2. And then this week, it is now at 1.6.
So
you are trending.
So what is your triglycerides and what's your HDL?
So my triglycerides went from like 92, I think, down to 74.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was like, they were like 140 before I started the carnivore diet. Yeah. And my HDL is always low, but it actually went up a little bit. But it's still low. It's only 46. And that's where I struggle, is the HDL is low, kind of on the low end of normal all the time.
So my triglycerides were 72 and my HDL is 83.
Right.
So it's like 0.86 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know what the deal is, if I'm ever going to be able to get my HDL levels up, or if it's just going to be a matter of time before I can kind of get them to nudge up. I don't know, but at least the ratio
better, and at least you're well below 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm well below 3, and I'm almost at 1.5, which she said is you want to shoot for less than 1.5, although lower is better. She wants you to be less than 1, so you guys are in good shape.
Well, that's a shocker for me.
Right. But look, here's the thing too, and sometimes we get so locked in on like exact numbers, but you also have to look at your trending. I mean, look at your trend line. So, Lynn, you are doing great. I mean, you're going in the right direction.
Yes.
So,
yes.
What about what is your all's LDL?
Mine is like, seriously, mine is almost 300.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's why I think
it's bad.
I think I told you guys about when I got my CAC score, and of course, I didn't tell my doctor I was going to do it because if it was bad, I didn't want him to know.
And then do you
Okay.
have the large buoyant or do you have the small
I
dip?
don't know.
Okay, I got my results on that one.
Okay.
So
Oh.
I can
What's
share.
your total
Okay,
LDL?
so my total LDL is 186.
Okay.
Yeah. So the reference range is 0 to 99, according to LabCorp.
Yeah.
So here's something interesting is they tested the LDL particle number, which is a serum concentration in nanomoles per liter. So it's the concentration of LDL. Now, it's very high for me. So the reference range of low, like a kind of borderline high, is 1300 to 1599. Okay, very high is considered over 2000, and mine was 2219. So the question then is, okay, so what are the particle sizes? That's where the real answers come, right?
Yeah.
So when I look at the particle sizes, and I should have taken a screenshot or something to show you this, but they give me like a little graph, and see if I can show this. Okay, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this or not. Okay, but here's this graph.
Hold on, let me make you big.
Okay, and you tell me if it's in the view.
Nope, not me. I don't know how to do it. Hold on. Solo layout, maybe. There we go. Okay. It's in there.
Is it fully framed? So the cardiovascular risk at the top, they have like cardiovascular risk, low end, and then high end. And so
all I can see is your phone number and your go down a little bit further.
Okay, let me
Okay,
see
there.
over to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so low cardiovascular risk is on this. Gosh, this is hard. This side.
Uh-huh.
Okay, high cardiovascular risk is here,
Uh-huh.
right? So the top one is I think the particle size of my HDL. So that one's I got to work on, but the second one is the particle concentration of the small LDL, which is on the lower end.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one is the actual LDL size, which is also on the lower end. So 2 of those markers put me on the lower end of risk for cardiovascular disease.
Okay.
And yeah, so the LDL, both of the LDLs, the size and the particle concentration are on the low end. So that means my high LDL particles are mainly the fluffy ones.
It's weird how they wrote that.
Yeah.
It's so confusing.
It's very confusing.
Yeah, but the HDL ones are like, I don't really know for sure how to interpret that, but that's what I got. I'm going to have to see what my naturopathic doctor says as far as to make sure I'm interpreting it correctly. But I think I am. I think I am. But I did have, and I don't know if you want me to wait until we get to the section. Did we already cover ferritin?
I don't remember.
I don't see it in what we're coming up to.
I just put my bookmark in page 86 because we kind of skipped around a little bit, but
yeah.
Okay. But I know a lot of people on the carnivore diet are curious about ferritin. So my folic acid and folic acid. So my folic acid came back too low, like I'm deficient. And my ferritin level, which is iron storage, came back elevated, not dangerously elevated, but it came back too high. And I am suspecting possibly it might be twofold. First of all, I'm eating the red meat, a lot of red meat, but I kind of did a little digging and researched, and I kind of found that there's a connection to your folic acid levels and your iron, how your body uses iron. So my, let's see. So my ferritin is supposed to be below 150. And I heard that for women, you can go to like 250, and there's like a big wide range of normal for ferritin levels. But mine was like 392. I heard the doctors don't really start to get too worried about hemochromatosis until you're in the thousands. But it's still 392. It's not below 150. And I did read too that it really should be below 100. And I did look to see what it was prior to the carnivore diet. It was only 74 before.
Oh.
So I can definitely say, but obviously it's my diet. It's got to be my diet. But my question with this is like, why do some people, a lot of people, they're on the same diet I am, and they don't have any issues with.
I heard something about
ferritin.
this. I'm trying to remember what it
Mhm.
was.
But it might be the folic acid. So I've got a couple of things that I'm going to do just to kind of work on it until, I mean, I could go get phlebotomy because I read that like one thing of, donating blood one time brings your ferritin down about 50 points.
Mm-hmm.
So I could do
Well, but they
phlebotomy.
also say that I know I've heard at least Dr. Berry say that you
Yep.
can't eat enough meat to like make you. Well, first of all, hemochromatosis is like a genetic disease that
Right.
you have had your whole life. Like you're not
Right.
just going to get that
I'm
from
not all
eating
of a
meat.
sudden going to have it. Right.
And he basically says, don't worry about it. You're not going to there. It's not possible to get. You're not getting that much iron from just the meat you're eating.
From the meat. Right. But he also,
So, I
I
don't
watched
know.
his video on it, and he also talked about there's a whole bunch of other things that it could be. So
Yeah. And I've heard other
inflammation.
doctors talk about this. I'm going to have to look into it a little bit.
Yeah. But for me, like inflammation, I know inflammation and obesity can be an issue, but last time I had it tested, my inflammation was higher and I was heavier. So I was inflamed and very heavy, and my ferritin levels were still low. So I'm suspecting it's the folic acid because that might be an issue. Now, I haven't ever had my folic acid levels tested before. So
I haven't either.
I don't know what they used to be, but
Yeah.
I haven't been eating eggs, and I know the egg yolks are a good source of folic acid. So I think I'm taking a twofold approach for now. I'm making sure I'm getting egg yolks at least, because I got to be careful with the whites because of the histamine. But I'm gonna make sure I'm getting egg yolks every day.
That's the good part anyway.
Yes,
That
it
is a good part, and the other part is good too, because I had stopped coffee, but coffee blocks your iron absorption. And so I read that, and tea as well, but I like coffee better than tea. They said that if you drink coffee or tea with a meal, it will block the iron absorption. So if you can block the iron absorption from the food, then your body's going to pull on those stores out of the ferritin, because the ferritin stores your iron, right? And so your body will slowly pull out of the stores, and the ferritin should go down. In fact, I read some information about how people where they drink a lot of tea tend to have low ferritin levels because they're drinking too much tea.
Oh.
And there's also curcumin. So like curcumin tablets could do it. I'm not going to throw everything at it. I'm just going to try to add more folic acid and block the iron absorption for now.
Mm-hmm.
And but
Excuse me.
But my insulin levels are great. I mean, no, they're not perfect, but they're good. I'm showing that I'm pretty insulin sensitive, so that's good. My hemoglobin A1C went from 5.5 to 5.2, and it was originally 5.8 pre-diabetic when I started. My thyroid panel is great, and he tested free everything, so that was
Thanks,
good.
Mike.
Magnesium's good. All my my liver panel too. Like my enzymes are great. They're all looking fantastic. Let's see. And my kidney function's doing great. Oh, B12 is good. So I mean, overall, most everything looks really looked good. There were just a few things that were. Oh, and my hemoglobin and hematocrit are always kind of high, but polycythemia, and I don't have polycythemia vera, but polycythemia is really common with mast cell activation syndrome. And it's interesting because usually, if I read that with high ferritin, usually the people tend to be more anemic and not have polycythemia, but that you can have it concurrently. So
Oh, I just found some labs from before, and my HDL prior to carnivore was 56. So I
okay.
went from 56, what did I say, 80, 87 or something like that?
Yeah,
That's
you're in the 80s.
amazing.
Yeah.
That
I'll
is
have to go back and
incredible.
look. I've been seeing the same doctor
Oh,
for like
and
25
listen,
years. And so
and
like I've
listen,
got
oh, I'm
all my
sorry.
labs. I have to go look. What you got?
So my LDL, I mean, no, I'm sorry, not my LDL, but my, well, sugar, I've lost it now. My triglycerides. I thought they were never high. They were 152. Prior
Really?
to carnivore, yes. I'm
Oh
just a big
my.
liar. I get on here and just rattle off stuff I don't even remember.
Awesome. Okay, so we're seeing progress, so that's good. And like to me, these things that are off in my labs, I'm sure they're correctable.
Oh,
So
yeah, I think
yeah.
so.
And the key is that the ferritin is high, but like I said, it's not dangerously high. And I'm not showing any effects on my liver, on my kidneys. It says sometimes insulin resistance can make it high, but I was more insulin resistant, I'm sure, before, and it was lower. So I'm sure that it's a combination of the red meat and the low folic acid. So we'll see. I don't know. Those of you guys who know nutrition, let me know what you think. But
Nicole?
Nicole, Cynthia, Dr. Nelson. I know Dr. Nelson's not here.
Yeah.
But anyways, this coming Saturday, I'm going to be doing an interesting live stream, which hopefully we're going to kind of do a little bit of analysis. But I interviewed Dr. Nicole Hewitt, who I met in Texas at the not at the Hack Your Health conference, but at our meetup there with Healing Humanity. And we did a live stream, and we're just her telling her story. And she went into some labs too, and she's really an expert on labs. And so, but she's going to do, this coming Saturday, we're going to do a stream where she's going to model. I'm going to be her patient, and she's going to model what a good functional medicine doctor patient visit looks like.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I'm going to watch that.
So I'm going to be her patient,
yeah.
and she's going to be the functional medicine. She does functional medicine. So she's going to be the functional medicine doctor. And so I don't know if we're going to go over labs that session or if we're going to do like that part 2, because we're probably going to do a part 2. Yeah. So it's possible that it's elevated because of some sort of inflammation. The thing that confused me, Cynthia, is that my CRP, like last time I got my blood work done, my CRP is always elevated because of my mast cell disease. It was like 16 point something, and my ferritin was only 74. So, and my white cell count. So if you're looking at possibly infection, no infection. My CBC was perfect. No issues at all. So I don't know.
You know what they do on my chart? They do a cholesterol to HDL ratio instead of a triglyceride to HDL
Yes,
ratio.
they do, and mine's always terrible.
Well,
mine is 3.
Yeah, mine's like 100. No, it's not. But I mean,
But
mine's
mine was
bad.
5. Mine was 5 prior to carnivore. So
okay, so it's getting better.
Getting better. So anybody who says, "Oh, what about your cholesterol, baby? Look at it. Look at it. It's getting better in every way." Like,
and so with the triglyceride to HDL ratio, she says that if the ratio is high, your risk of a heart attack increases 16-fold or 1,600%. So, yeah.
Okay,
right.
so yeah, but that's a what is it? That's not an actual
Relative risk? Is that a
relative.
relative
Is
risk?
that a relative? I don't remember.
Probably. Yeah.
It's like I want to know what the real numbers are there,
Yeah, because like she
1,600
does talk a
like
lot about like the risk of
that's
this and
very medical.
and
It's very sciencey,
yes, and
scare you to death.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what is determining that this person has a higher risk? Because I don't know if it's like
Well, the
you know how they do
triglycerides,
those.
maybe,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
I'm thinking that maybe it's the lab results that are, like the high LDL, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I just don't know what they're using as a basis, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I don't
So,
know what she's.
so if they were saying total cholesterol or just LDL, I would be like, I don't know about that. But this one I almost give a little bit more validity to because it is talking about something that can be greatly affected by like how many carbs you're eating.
Right.
And I think ultimately your baseline health status is going to be greatly affected by how many carbs you're eating,
Mm-hmm.
no
Yeah.
matter who you are.
Yeah.
So I'll give her that one. But I just don't like that 1,600 time, or it's. I think that's a little bit of a misleading thing, or like just give us some real numbers.
Yeah.
That makes
Well, and
sense.
again, is it correlation or is it causation? What are the studies? Are they, I mean, how many factors can they correct for in these types of studies?
And
They're
I'm
probably
thinking it's correlation.
correlation. Yeah, because
Well,
they're looking at people and they're just looking at their lab work compared to whether or not they have a heart attack.
yeah.
But how
I
many
mean, you
factors
can't
go into
determine
whether you have a
causation
heart?
with that.
Like how many
Well,
of them smoke?
I don't think there would be any way
You
to.
know, yeah, hard to say. But I mean, anyways, but apparently there's a lot of doctors that say, yeah, that is a better ratio.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so you ready to move on to fasting insulin?
Yeah, let's do it.
And I
I've
did
got
have
mine
my
right
fasting
here.
insulin.
And
And
I
I
know
did,
mine.
yeah, I had my fasting insulin checked. What is your fasting insulin, Carrie?
Mine was 3.8.
What's the reference range for your lab?
For my, oh gosh, for my lab, I think it's like, I think like under 15 or something like that. I
Okay.
mean, it's like a very wide range.
Okay.
I know that I looked at Common Sense Labs, Dr. Berry's book, and they recommend like, I think it's less than 5 and greater than 2, I think. But
Okay.
it seems to me like her recommendation is even lower. I would almost be afraid to be that low.
Well, LabCorp gives a score. I don't think they give the actual actual level. They give a score. And so their reference range is you want to be under 45. And mine was 36.
Yeah, I don't.
So it's like I'm having a really hard time comparing, like to see, like, because the numbers are different with LabCorp.
So my
They're
numbers are not like that with LabCorp.
no.
Yeah,
No.
I'm going to look and see what my reference is.
So my
Well, oh, you know what? You know what it is? This is a different test. It's an insulin resistance score. It's not a fasting.
Oh, is it the HOMA IR or whatever?
Yes, it's the LPIR score. So I don't know my actual fasting insulin, which I thought that's what my doctor was ordering, but he ordered this insulin resistance score, which puts me below, not super, super low, but you should be below 45 and I'm 36.
So you don't have a fasting insulin then?
No, I'm going to have to, next time I get lab work, I'm going to ask specifically for a fasting insulin.
Mine was 8.9, which is actually
Okay.
still way too high, I think.
Yeah, mine's 3.8, and it doesn't, let me see. It
But
says
mine is,
reference range is less than or equal to 18.4. So Dr. Berry, I've heard him say, basically the reference range is not optimal.
so
that.
mine pre-carnivore was 17.3, and now it's 8.9. That's like a year later.
Huzzah.
And the reference range for LabCorp on that is 2.6 to 24.9. That seems
Wow.
really high. But see, they just call it insulin. They don't call it fasting insulin. So it just happened to be a fasted test for me. I think that's the way they do it.
Yeah, because I had asked him, I mean, like when I had labs done, I was already fasted anyway.
Yeah.
And I just told him I wanted him to test my insulin or check the insulin. And he was really cool about it. I mean, my fructosamine was right smack dab in the middle, which, I was a little bit concerned because my A1C had been like 4.9, like 4.8, 4.7, 4.9, like forever. And then after I went carnivore, it had gone up to like, 5.3. And I was like, this is, it just bothered me that it went up like that. And so I had my fructosamine, and it was 255, was it UMOL, whatever that is. The normal range, it's smack dab in the middle of the normal range of 205 to 285.
Good. That's good.
So I was like, whew, thank goodness.
I still haven't had that test done because evidently my lab doesn't do that test. And my doctor's just like, I'll order it, but I don't really know how to order it. So since that lab doesn't do that test and she doesn't know where I can get it done, I'm kind of like up in the air about it. But also they said that I could get let's see here. Or was it, what's the other?
The glycated albumin. And see, I had asked for that originally.
Okay, that's the one. That's the one.
And
Sorry.
He couldn't find it. Like,
yeah, they
tried.
can't find that
bless
one
his
either.
heart. He looked on the list and he's like, I can't find that. And he
It's
actually went
fructosamine.
online.
Yeah.
I was like, I just love him. I mean, he's trapped in a system that's terrible.
Well, it sounds like he's doing a good job, though.
Yeah, because he said, he says, I can do a fructosamine. And I was like, okay, let's do that one.
You know what I did get that I didn't even realize that I got, and I'm really, really glad I got this because I've been wanting this. You know how they say that most of your magnesium is not in your circulating blood, it's in the red blood cells, or intracellularly, I guess. But so you have to get a magnesium RBC to see like what your actual magnesium level is. And mine is 6.8, and the reference range is 3.7 to 7. So that's really good.
Yeah, I had mine checked too, and I think it was 6.0.
Wow.
Yeah, 6.0.
You're doing good.
I need to get mine checked.
You
I have not
don't
had
have
mine checked.
you don't have all kinds of vitamin deficiencies from carnivore,
No,
guys. We're proved.
Except folic acid.
All of my ass. No, all of my ass.
For me.
All of my labs. All of my labs are getting better, and the other is also getting better.
Good. Oh, mine too. It's getting smaller.
Oh my gosh. And I do not have any problem with folic acid or B12 or anything. So I think that's something that Lynn needs to look into. That
I
may
need
be
to eat
something
more
specific
eggs.
to her rather than, I don't think that's carnivore related.
Do you eat enough eggs?
Me?
Yeah.
What's enough? I don't know. I eat eggs.
I eat a ton of eggs.
Because I know egg yolks are higher in folic acid. And like I said, I've been avoiding eggs completely for like 8 months.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, I eat eggs here and there. Like, I don't overdo it. It's not my favorite food, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's weird. I cycle through eggs. Like lately, I've been on a big egg kick where I'm having like 4 to 6 eggs a day,
Yeah.
which is a lot for me. But then, like, I'll go for a while where I don't eat any.
I have
Like
an
2 or
egg.
3
I have an
weeks.
upper egg
Yeah.
limit of like 3 eggs. That's it. And then I'll start getting nauseated after that.
And I love mine sunny side up, though. That's about the only way I eat them.
Yeah.
Cynthia says TMI.
Yes, that's right. TMI. That's hilarious. Okay, so back to the book. She does talk about a HOMA, HOMA.
Wait a minute. Let's address this real quick. Mine has. So that's so my A1C increased from 5.7 off of Carnivore, and then I went on metformin for a long time and it went down to 5.2. And then the same time I started Carnivore, I said, bye metformin, I'm done with you. And now I'm at 6.0, but I don't think it's real. I think it's where my red blood cells are living longer. So that's why I want to get my fructosamine tested. And then I will have to report back to you guys because now I've made a deal out of it.
But
my total cholesterol, okay, I found my total cholesterol. My LDL is actually 255. It actually went down like 20 points from last fall.
Oh, that's good.
But and then my total cholesterol, I mean, for anybody that tracks that, is 347. So my ratio between cholesterol and HDL is 4.6. But I mean, my HDL is 77. So
yeah, absolutely. Your triglyceride to HDL ratio is great. Yeah. And,
Well,
Kim, you did the continuous glucose monitoring. And
yeah.
so
So I would know if
that's right.
In order for me to have an actual legit hemoglobin A1C of 6.0, I would have been able to sense that, or sense it, but track it on my thing, because that was the 3-month period that I did that almost the whole time. What I would do is I would do it, and then I might not do it for a few weeks, and then I'd get it on again, because each one lasts for like 10 days. But I have all that data, and my sugar, I mean, if it would spike up, it would quickly come down, and it would only spike up maybe once a day. And it never really got above like 140, 130, 140. And that was if I was just really like putting some stuff in my coffee that I shouldn't be or something. And it would come down so quickly. There's no way that is a legit number. I don't believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So carry on a stat.
I'm gonna call the doc in the morning for her.
That's right.
Well, here's the cool thing. Since my CAC score is 0, and when they called me back in March to give me my lab results, I'll have labs again in October. But because I go every 6 months for some weird reason. But anyway, but when the nurse or the lab person, whatever, called me, and she says, your LDL is at blah blah. She said, but since you have a 0 CAC score, Dr. Demergen isn't concerned. And so it's like, okay, yeah. Oops, I said his name, but I like him, so it doesn't matter.
That's okay. We can give props to good docs around here.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But anyway, yeah, because I mean, like, he just pretty much, if I just ask him to order something, he'll just order it. But I just thought that was interesting. That was cool, So apparently that's part of the plan, like the guidelines or whatever. Like if you have a 0 CAC score, that they will disregard high HDL.
Yeah, as they should, All right. So where are we moving on to, Lynn?
Let's see. Well, we talked about insulin resistance, and
what about the HSCRP? Did we talk about that?
Let's see. I think we talked about that. Did we talk about that last time?
I think we did a little bit.
Yeah, I think we
did I tell you all my numbers? I don't think I did.
No,
yeah, I know we
Um,
were.
So my HSCRP is 5.69 and the normal is 0 to 3. Okay. So I am high there, but that is down from a year ago. It was 10.98. So definitely my inflammation,
better.
whether it's caused from just general inflammation from being overweight or whatever, or autoimmune, which I suspect, or candida, which we all know that I have or had, it's coming down. So we're making great progress. It seems like everything's like divided in half, you know?
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, I'm disappointed that I didn't get an updated CRP because last September mine was 16.21.
Was that a HSCRP or just a regular?
That was a HS. Yeah. But, mine's always high with my mast cell disease.
Yeah.
And so I was really curious to see what it is now because, like I said, it's been as high as 25 in the past. So 16 is better, but it's still very far away from what it should be, for sure. So
I've never had one done, so I guess that'll be my new one.
We're gonna have to. We need to come up with a list of like labs that we all agree that like we definitely need to get these the next time we get labs, and that way we have like because we've heard from different doctors. Yeah, make sure you get this. Make sure you got that. And I've got Dr. Berry's book, so I can use that too. I'm sure you guys have it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this is a list. I mean, in this chapter, this is a list of
we
the
can
labs.
use this list.
Oh,
Just make sure
absolutely.
that everything's covered.
Yeah, she goes into great detail.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, definitely. And so, so supposedly this is it can determine whether or not you're at high risk for heart attack and stroke. But it's interesting because, other things in my lab panel put me more on the lower end of risk. So, that's why I think you have to look at the whole, right?
Yeah.
You have to look at the person as a whole.
And how you're trending. Because, things don't heal overnight. I mean, we've had a lifetime of, eating doo-doo foods.
Yeah.
Right.
And like Mike says, progress,
Yes.
progress, not perfection. I mean, as you've all said, we're not going to heal our bodies overnight from years and years, decades of abuse that we've done, whether it be on purpose or just because we didn't know any better. It was probably a little of both for me. But sometimes I expect things to just be like, boom, I've been doing this a year. Dang it, I deserve to look like Kelly Hogan. But then I look, Kelly Hogan has been doing this for like what? At least
20 years almost.
Years? I don't know exactly how long, but it's a long time.
Which means she started when she was really young.
Yeah.
Yeah, she caught it early, and she talks about that Dr. Dunlap, which is hilarious. Because Dr. Berry always talks about Dunlap's disease.
Yeah.
Because your belly Dunlapped over your belt.
And it's like that's almost a blessing. Like I've heard her talk about that before. We're lucky, really. Like even though we have suffered, most of us have suffered greatly. We're really lucky that suffering opened our eyes. What about people who their genetics allow them to just like walk around feeling okay, eating crap food, and they don't actually see what's going on inside. And then, one day they just, have a heart attack or, whatever.
Well, and you've heard before, like, oh, he was so healthy. He jogged every day and he ate his healthy whole grains, which of course we know they're not healthy, but it's like all the expected stuff that, oh, he took care of himself and he had a heart attack, and it's like the least that you would expect that would happen to. And so it's, of course, part of it is because we were taught that the wrong things are healthy, but then also some of the, like, you can be thin on the outside and fat on the inside. You can.
Yeah.
Right.
My mother was. I mean, when she was initially diabetic, I mean, she was very slim, and of course it eventually showed itself. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, it eventually she did gain the weight and everything.
Yeah.
But it was but you can be thin on the outside, fat on the inside. You sure can.
I
Yeah.
just feel like we have to recognize, the blessings and everything, and try to look at the good, and I'm happy that, I mean, I'm sad that I can't eat donuts anymore, but I'm happy that I had that, that gift in disguise of just getting really sick and having to change my life, because I never would have if it
Yeah.
wasn't for
Right.
that.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, and I've been sick for my whole adult life, but apparently not sick enough
Yeah.
to make me desperate enough to change. It wasn't until I was flat on my back and on disability and couldn't work, and
Mm.
that was when I finally was like, okay, this is enough. But I don't know if my younger self would have listened.
Yeah, I don't
You
think I
know,
would have.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have either. I mean, unless I had like a crystal ball and
Yeah.
could see. But without that, I don't know if my younger self would have listened. I mean, I go back and forth on that one. But
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
pretty sure I wouldn't have. But it's
yeah,
funny, I can look back and see where my metabolic health started taking a nosedive, and it was early.
me
19
too.
years old, started having my first yeast infections. 19 years old, started having my first migraine, had my first migraine. I mean, it's just like, it's so wild how, obvious to anybody who had that knowledge. They could have looked at me and said, "Oh, girl, listen, those are two inflammatory conditions you got going there. Two
Right.
two conditions where your body is telling you you've not been eating the right food. You've been feeding me all this junk."
Yeah. But people didn't think that way. And I don't know
Mhm.
that they even still don't think that way. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
most
what's the
don't.
inflammatory process going on here, right? I don't, they basically say, okay, well, you've got this, here's a medication. You got a yeast infection, here's some fluconazole. You got migraines, here's, some medicine for your migraine.
And I remember telling these doctors years ago, like, it's not that simple. You think I can just do the cream and get rid of it, and that's that. I'm telling you, this stuff is like part of me. And they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, no, that's not right. That's not possible. It's just it just comes back because, you're leaving your wet bathing suit on too long." And I knew that wasn't true, but I didn't even know how I knew that because I didn't have the knowledge base, you know?
If that was the case, why doesn't that happen to everybody who leaves their
Exactly.
bathing suit on too
Yeah.
long?
And
You
then I had
know?
some that were a little bit more up on, education, and they would look at me and say, "Have you been tested for HIV?" I can't tell you the amount of times I've been tested for HIV. And then they would say, "Well, are you diabetic?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not diabetic. Like, you guys have all my blood tests. Like, what do you
Yeah.
want from me?" Like you could tell some of them were just like, "This is not normal," but they wouldn't look at me and say, "Girl, this is not normal. You need to get to the bottom of this,
Yeah.
whether it's from me or somebody else. You need to find somebody to get to the bottom of this. This is serious business."
Right.
They're just like,
Right.
Use some cream."
There you go.
Um,
A cream. So, okay. So hemoglobin A1C, I think we covered. She says for her, she suggests that the lowest risk range for hemoglobin A1C is between 5 and 5.4. Yeah.
Have you
So
guys had your uric acid tested? I never have. I was just
no.
curious if you guys ever did.
I think I have. I just can't find it right now. I'm
Yeah.
trying to
So there's
find
a
it.
section on uric acid. But she said that it's from overwhelming the body with too much fructose too
Mm-hmm.
quickly, causes uric acid levels to quickly rise, creating several problems. And excess uric acid generates oxidative stress that disturbs your mitochondrial function, shunting things that should go to cellular energy or ATP production towards fat instead. So helps, promote fat buildup in the liver, worsens insulin resistance. I never really read a whole lot on uric acid, so this section was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that it could be associated with all these things. It says it generates systemic inflammation by stimulating the release of inflammatory cytokines. It really increases blood pressure by inactivating the nitric oxide, which relaxes blood vessels. So it does a lot. I didn't realize uric acid was so important.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, and I guess if your levels are too high, it can crystallize in your joints, leading to gout. And it says it says also that you have like a higher likelihood of having type 2 diabetes, higher of kidney disease, depression, and twice as high risk of sleep apnea and heart attack. So yeah, interesting. I don't think I've ever had my uric acid levels tested.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah. So
I
she
thought
said
I had, but maybe I haven't.
Yeah, she said the optimal range is less than 5 for men and 2 to 4 for women. So, but that was
it. You guys had your vitamin D tested?
Yeah.
Mine was. I tried to justify it, so I told the doctor. It was so funny because I told him, I was like, well, I've been taking a supplement and I need to know whether I need to back off. And my vitamin D25, which is the one that Dr. Berry says to get, was 120. And so that poor little nurse or whoever it was who called me, she was like, Dr. Merchant says to stop taking your vitamin D supplement. Which I haven't stopped taking it, so there's no telling what it is now. But
I did have my uric acid tested, by the way.
Oh, what is it? So what was it?
But this was pre-carnivore, so
okay.
It was 5.1 pre-carnivore. Yeah, I don't think I had.
It was a little high.
The high level is 6.2.
Okay.
Range is
wasn't optimal.
The range is 2.6 to 6.2.
Okay. So she says optimal for women is 2 to 4. So you're okay.
Just that was pre-carnivore. So I really don't know what I am now. I need to get that. We're going to put that on the list.
Yes.
It's probably better because you're not eating the fructose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I would imagine it's probably really good. So, okay. So you ready to move on to liver enzymes?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the AST and ALT are proteins made in liver cells that can be released into circulation when liver cells die or become damaged. So she mentions that one reason is insulin resistance. Elevated AST and ALT are associated with increased risk for fatty liver and metabolic syndrome. Now, I had mine tested, and they were really good. Let's see here. Got to go through my multiple pages here of tests that were done, find them. I think my AST and ALT were like 19 and 17. Yeah, 16. So they were 23 last September. My AST was 23 last September. Now it's 19. And this reference range says 0 to 40. And so it's come down a little bit. And my ALT last time was also 23, and now it's 16. And the reference range is 0 to 32 for that one. So that's good. No issues with that. And then she talks about the GGGT, which is also a protein. Now, that's not a typical thing that they test with the just a basics metabolic panel. I don't see a GGT.
Either.
So
my doctor did one of those, but I'm having my son bring me the printout because like flipping back and forth is just crazy.
Yeah, so she says it's a unique marker that is one of the few tests that can offer a hint of oxidative stress. So that's interesting. One of the 3 key processes underlying bad energy, which is notoriously hard to test for directly. So that could be a good like indicator that you might have some oxidative stress. So the GGT's role is to metabolize the protein glutathione, which is a key antioxidant our bodies make to neutralize free radicals, and levels will increase in the face of more oxidative burden and glutathione activity. That seems like that would be a good one to get.
I have that. So my doctor actually has me taking glutathione.
Okay.
My functional medicine doctor. And my GGT is 9 and the normal is 0 to 60. What does she say?
So she says, you want to know the normal or the optimal? So
Well,
GGT,
whatever.
the normal 8 to 61, and she doesn't give an optimal. Oh, wait, no, let's see. For GGT, lowest risk for women is below 14 to 20. Yeah, below is, let's see, 14, below 14 to 20. So she's
Okay,
not
so I'm
super
9.
specific. You're good. Yeah.
Okay. And that was
Yeah.
recent.
Yeah, you're good. So, and as we know, like the liver is super important. So it's important to take good care of it.
And then what else did we do? Liver enzymes?
Yeah. So AST and
So-
ALT, she mentions.
My AST is 77. Or I'm sorry, AST is 13. Sorry. And ALT is 15.
Okay. So yours
So
are a little
those
bit
are
better
good.
than mine. So mine are not within the optimal range, according to her. They're close. Well, one of them is. So she said that research suggests that all-cause mortality starkly increases when AST and ALT levels rise above 17 units per liter. So my ALT is 16, so that's good. But my AST is 19, but it was 23.
So it's not too far off from.
It's trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's within the normal range, but not within the optimal range yet. So, yeah. Okay, so vitamin D. Let's see. So obviously, it's actually a hormone. It's not really technically a vitamin. And it's very important to critical biological functions related to calcium and phosphate levels, insulin secretion, immune function, cytokine regulation, cell death, and vascular growth pathways, among others. So let's see. And it regulates calcium levels. So that's good. I'm assuming my vitamin D levels are probably okay because my calcium level is okay. But I know that I've heard a lot of opinions about what a healthy level of vitamin D is. And she says that the normal range by standard criteria is 20 to 50. She says optimal range, research suggests that vitamin D levels from 40 to 60 are associated with lowest all-cause mortality. And then vitamin D toxicity is generally not observed until levels are much higher. And I've even heard
mine are like,
I've heard,
I don't know.
120.
I've heard varying opinions on that. So I don't know how high. She doesn't say how high you need to get before.
Mine's 49.9.
Yeah, my D25 that's the one.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Is that not where we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's different vitamin Ds, which I didn't realize until I didn't know until I heard that from Dr. Berry. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. I'm not trying to interrupt. I get excited. Go ahead. So Dr. Berry says D25, but what other one would they check? I don't know.
Well, apparently there's a regular D.
Something.
It's a different. They don't specify the 25.
I don't know. Oh. So y'all, guess what? I'm the MVP because my vitamin B12. Have we talked about that yet?
No.
My vitamin B12 is 1078.
Whoa.
What?
Yep.
I don't know what mine is. I don't think I've had mine tested.
And that is, according to LabCorp, the reference range for B12 is 232 to 1245. So you're good.
Well, that's funny because no, this is not LabCorp. This is my hospital. They say 210 to 1033. So they say 1078 is high. But
Oh, okay. So
either
it depends
way,
on which lab.
yeah.
You're good. Mine was
Yeah.
651. So, I mean, it's inside that range. And she doesn't talk about B12 in this chapter. So we're just going to have to go by what the labs say. But the point to make, though, is that the reference ranges vary per lab. And I know we've talked about this. So
Yeah.
I don't know that I necessarily freak out if you're close to the normal reference range, but either a little high or a little low for your lab. Go look at some other labs and see what they say. And and it could be population based. Like, I know that in some different ethnicities, there's some different normal ranges for labs, different geographic locations. There's some different normal ranges. So, I don't think it's like a hard and fast rule that, okay, this is the reference range and this is like, you don't want to deviate at all from it.
Yeah, because
Especially
here's the
since they
thing,
keep
I don't
doing
like
them.
I don't like it when they do the reference ranges like just, oh, well, this is just the average population in your area. Well, I don't want that. I want to know what the optimal, like what she talks about and what
Yeah.
Dr. Berry talks about, like what is healthy,
Right.
not what the average is.
Most doctors haven't seen healthy people in so many years, they don't know what it is.
Well, this is true.
Healthy people tend to not go to the doctor.
Well, yeah, there is that.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can't fault them, really.
No, absolutely. So, okay. All right. So she does talk a little bit about the density of the, and my vitamin D, last time I checked, was kind of low. It was 39. So the doctor had me taking a bunch of vitamin D. So that's why I was hoping it'd be rechecked.
Yeah.
I will go get it rechecked and see what it is. I've also been laying out in the sun every day and getting sun exposure every day. Yeah. So trying to get it the days that I can spend, 20 minutes or so laying out in the sun, I don't take my supplement. In, a cloudy, overcast days when I don't go out, I take my supplement.
My
And
doctor,
I tell you what, I always feel so much better when I go outside and just even if I get 5 minutes, just in the middle of the day, like I get the morning sun and then I'll go out like just periodically, like I'll take little breaks and go outside and just, I don't know what it is. Well, I mean, I think I do. I mean, it's our primal instinct or whatever. I mean, we miss that because we're stuck indoors all the time.
Right.
With fluorescent lights and everything. And so I can tell a difference if I go outside and just feel that sun on my face. I don't know. It changes my whole outlook. It's wild how I can notice a difference. Are you guys the same way? I mean, can you tell a difference? Like if you go outside and just.
Yeah. My mental health is like so much better.
Well, and it does say that vitamins, let's see, talks about vitamin D, and it talks about, let's see, many proteins made inside the cells get released into circulation. So I guess it interacts with these proteins. Neurotransmitters is one of them. They require calcium as an activating signal for their release, and vitamin D highly regulates calcium levels. So if you're getting your sunlight and your vitamin D, it's helping to regulate these different proteins in your body, one of which is neurotransmitters. I don't know how immediate of an effect that is, but I'm sure sunlight is good for all sorts of things.
Oh, yeah.
My functional medicine doctor actually prescribes 15 to 30 minutes of morning sunlight, and sometimes I follow that and most of the time I don't.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the section she did about the in the gray on page 96 and 97, where she talks about the sizes of the LDL cholesterol. And that she said there are two types of the LDL cholesterol, which we know, but the lipid profile measures them together, but she said the majority, 80% of circulating LDL-C species are called large buoyant or type A. So even if you're not on a carnivore diet, it sounds like 80% of your particles are still large. Yeah, and it's increased, and they're increased by dietary fat consumption. And so that's the reason why they want you to get your LDL cholesterol under a certain number, because then the percentage of, it means the percentage of small dense ones is going to go down, and then that means the absolute value of them is going to go down. But there's still going to be like, so 20% of 1,000, right, is 200. So you don't want your small dense particles being 200. So you want to get your total cholesterol down so that they're a lot smaller number, but they're still like 20% of in normal, right? But so she says the large buoyant LDL are cardiovascularly neutral. Okay. So meaning it's not the particular driving the accumulation of plaque in the arteries. So the large ones don't cause plaque in your arteries. Now, here's what I thought was really key, which I underlined. The problem is that statins will lower your LDL because they are lowering the type A, or the big fluffy particles, which is 80% of the total, but they're not doing anything to the type B, or the small ones, which is the problematic particles. So even people on statins, those statins are doing nothing to lower the small dense particles. They're only lowering the particles that are cardiovascularly neutral. That blew my mind when I read that. I did not know that.
I think we need to start looking at like vascular, cholesterol, plaques inside your arteries. I think we need to look at it differently. Like, instead of it looking like, oh, you've got a cholesterol plaque in your artery, we need to look at it like, oh, you've got damage inside your artery, and like,
exactly. Because here's the thing, I'm still not.
Cholesterol's the fireman, like,
yeah,
those hot firemen to come and respond.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not
Sorry,
convinced that LDL is a culprit at all, because I think they're trying to fix there's a problem there. There's the inflammation and there's damage, and they're trying to fix the damage. Just like, if you have a scar, like, a scab on your, you cut yourself and you have a scab, and then eventually the scab falls off.
We gotta
really
change the way we look at things,
Yeah, I'm just not convinced that LDL even means anything.
It's just,
but if people knew,
we don't decrease the number of firemen,
Right.
Right. If people knew that the statin was only lowering the type of cholesterol that doesn't damage your arteries, would they take the statin? It does nothing for the small dense particles that can be a problem.
The cholesterol didn't damage your arteries to begin with, right?
They didn't damage your arteries. No, that's actually, you're right. I shouldn't be saying it that way. That stick to your arteries if there is already damage.
Right.
They accumulate if there's already issues with the endothelial lining of your vessels. And that comes from inflammation.
Yep.
I'm gonna get a shirt that says, think about the cholesterol. Like, think about how would the cholesterol feel? Cholesterol has feelings.
I identify as a large buoyant LDL.
I'll be like, this lady is crazy.
She's crazy. She's woke. I don't want any microaggressions against my LDL.
Yes.
Oh,
stop sending microaggressions towards my.
That's right. Towards my LDL is triggered.
Please.
Oh,
my levels of triglycerides and insulin are triglycerides. Yeah. Absolutely.
The carbs, the insulin, the inflammation. It's all the problem, but no, cholesterol gets blamed.
Yeah. And fat, saturated fat.
Absolutely.
It's like the only people at your workplace that actually work they always get in trouble, but the rest of people just sit around doing nothing and they're just fine, right?
Yep.
Yep. And then she talks about the apolipoprotein B. It's a protein that wraps around specific cholesterol particles to help them dissolve in blood. And it's present in the forms of cholesterol particles in the blood that are known to be atherogenic or promote blocked blood vessels and causative of heart disease. And I've had that tested. And so I don't know, does she go over what she says it should be?
What page are you on?
98. Like my doctor ordered that test because, like she says, it may be a more accurate marker of heart disease than LDL-C alone, but it's not ordered in standard practice. It's more ordered with functional health. So my doctor ordered it twice for me, but mine is high. So it's supposed to be below 90. Mine was 122, but that was back last September. So, I don't know. Again, I think you have to look at the whole person.
Yeah,
Is that part
I've
of
done a
another
lot
test,
of
or
reading
is it
about
just
LDL, like Dr. Malcolm Kendrick from the UK. He's great. I love him. He was one of the first people in the like low carb space that I discovered. I used to go to his website a lot. He has a great blog. And like I said, I'm just not even convinced that cholesterol, like she's talking about, like less than 70 for those with heart or blood vessel disease, and for patients that are at high risk, less than 100. This is LDL now. I mean, I'm screwed no matter what. I mean, because mine's never going to be, and I don't even know that I care.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, are we going to need to spend one more week on this chapter?
We might.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good information.
We're already almost 20 after, and we still have her other tools to go through and all of the other things to talk about. So I think we can. I don't know. You guys want to spend one more week on this chapter?
I mean, I'm cool with it. I mean, it's our book club. We can do what we want.
Yeah, this is good information.
Is there really that much left to cover?
There is. Yeah, I was looking at it going, I think we're at the end of the chapter. I'm like, no, we're not.
Okay, CGM is like, that covers like several pages. I mean, how
why don't we do the rest of this chapter in chapter 5 for next week?
That sounds like a plan to me.
Because chapter 5 is not huge.
Yeah.
And then we're probably going to have the same issue with chapter 6 because it's really long.
I feel like we're almost done with this chapter, but I mean, maybe I'm delusional. I don't know.
We're all delusional.
I mean, CGM, like we've already pretty much talked about that throughout the whole thing, right?
Okay, so if we skip CGM, continuous glucose monitoring, of course, she talks in a lot of detail about some details specific to that. I don't know. I think there's enough to
do that. That's fine. We can
just
do that.
She does. She has 7 different things.
Yeah, she talks about sleep. She talks about heart rate variability. So, okay. I think, yeah.
And I want to get a CGM. I'm going to look into doing that. I've heard that there's supposed to be one that's like over the counter now that you can just get. But I don't know if you can get it yet, but that supposedly it's been approved. But I want to do that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it over the counter yet, but
did you get your doctor to order yours?
I got Dr. Boz to order mine.
I bet you my doctor would probably order it for me. Awesome. Just ask him. I'll ask him.
Yeah, Dr. Boz orders, like Dr. Boz has that as one of her services, basically. And normally you pay her $100 for the prescription that lasts all year. And I paid it. She had a half price sale because to me, I didn't really want to pay $100 for that. So, but I was like, well, I'll pay 50 for it. So
Mhm.
I paid 50 for Dr. Boz to write me a prescription.
And Dr. Means too, her organization Levels, you can
Mhm.
order the CGM through her as well. I haven't looked into the pricing.
Oh, that's
but
right. You
yeah.
can.
There's so many options out there now, y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do a whole show just about talking about ways that you can get things online now, you know.
True.
And I was listening to her a few minutes ago. I was just kind of re-listening to some of this stuff, and she was talking about another company out there, not Levels, but it's like she names other companies that do the same kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right.
So, all right. Well, oh, Mike says on Levels it's 190 a month, but half that if you do 3. I'm not sure what you mean, 3.
Oh, in other words, if you do 3 months, is that what you're talking? I wonder if that's what he
It's
means.
100. Oh, so like if you order it in a 3-month, kind of like a volume discount.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, with
So
Dr.
then it would be like $80 a month if you do sign up for 3 months worth. Is that right?
I doubt that if it's $190 a month. Explain,
Well,
Mike.
half that if you do
Yes,
3.
explain.
While he's
And we'll
explaining, Dr.
we can
Boz,
look at
you pay the $50 and that's just for the prescription. And then you have to do the over the counter rate. And so it ends up being like $197 at Kroger for a
Okay.
month.
Okay.
So, and that's for 3 different little things. So you don't have to do them for a month straight. You can do 10 days and then wait and then do 10 more days. Because I think that 10-day stretch is very valuable, you know, and I don't feel the need to do it straight through, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
You have to sign up for their study.
But what do you mean
Okay.
by half that if you do 3? I'm confused by that, Mike.
And I didn't want to sign up for a study either because I know I mentioned I heard her talking about the study because they make you challenge it with glucose, and it's like I don't want to mess myself up metabolically. I don't want to make myself sick. So I'd rather just do it on my own and not be part of a study. And I get it. There's people that will do this to be part of the study, but I just don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to make my glucose go up on purpose, in other words.
And even though it's temporary, I just don't want to do it. If I don't have to, you know, after being off of it for so long, I could see it would make me sick. I don't want that.
Yeah.
So, okay. All righty. Well, as always, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize how long it had been. We just been yakking away.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely. Okay.
So he says it's $199 and you can order monthly, quarterly, or one time. So it depends on how long you want to track, it looks like. Okay. Well, we'll have to go on there and check it out for ourselves. So
Yep.
So it's 199. Is that for the 3 months? Maybe that's for the 3 months.
I bet
So
that's a
that-
month because I mean, just getting it from Kroger is $179 a month, and that is not including the prescription writing person.
Mhm.
Okay. So maybe
Because
you
they're
get a
going to
bit
want
of
their
a
fee
volume.
also.
Yeah, but it's expensive, you know.
Yeah. That's why I break
right.
mine up, you know, and I don't do it straight through. Just get me like a 10-day stretch. And then, like, if I'm eating really strict carnivore, there's not much need for that, you know.
Yeah.
But I'll still do it. Just, you know, I mean, I've never been super strict, you know, but if I'm doing really good with carnivore, there's no need for me to wear it, you know. When I was wanting to see what my Crystal Light did and things like that, and my coffee with the Chalk Zero. That Chalk Zero, honey, that jacks it right up for me,
Mm.
especially first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Okay.
Okay. So do 1 out of 3 months if you do quarterly. Okay. Alright.
Okay.
Cool.
All right,
All
guys.
right.
Well, thanks for hanging in there with us and listening to all of our labs. I'm sure it was extremely interesting.
People like to hear about labs, though.
But if we have anyone out there who ever doubts that carnivores can have, relatively can improve at least on their cholesterol
Yep.
and other things, then there's the information. So
That's right.
thanks, guys, and we will see y'all, I guess, next Sunday, unless you come
Yep.
to our keto study club on Thursday.
Just Thursday. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
All righty.
Thursday at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Right.
All right, guys, we'll see ya.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.